roof of a garage in Sherman Oaks when it gave way right there. We'll watch it again. You can see the firefighter ride the roof down into the garage. Remarkably, the firefighter is okay though. Fellow crew members rushed inside to help, and thankfully no one was hurt.
By smoke in Fresno, California this weekend, breaking through the roof. Moments later, you can see as a witness records the scene, he falls through the roof of that burning home, flames then shooting into the air a split second later.
Scary incident, all caught on camera yesterday. The unidentified firefighter was trying to put out heavy flames in the garage of a home in Fresno when he just fell through, right into the inferno. According to
the roof with Apiag, when it collapses and Apiag falls through, you can see Flores jump into action.
Look down in that hole, it was just a sea of red.
Look closely and you'll witness him fall through the roof.
He was up there trying to see any hot spots up in the roof, and it was a weak spot, and he did fall about 3 or 4 feet.
Hey guys, welcome back to Transmit the 1075. I want to have another discussion tonight about a pretty sensitive subject because I know it will rub some people the wrong way, because I think we just have a 100-year tradition of sort of fighting fires this way. But I wanted to talk about a fire that just happened about a week or so ago in Houston, Texas. And just so you know, please, I could talk about this fire practically in any state in the country, okay? I'm bringing up Houston not because they've done anything particularly any different than anybody else. I wish these guys no ill will. This isn't about them personally. This is about a tactical methodology of firefighting that I don't understand. And I don't understand it because I try to stay in my lane. I don't know if you've noticed over the last several months of the videos I've been producing, but I try not to talk about things that I don't have a lot of experience about. So you're not going to hear me telling you what I think you should do in a 6-story tenement building in New York City, okay, or doing water dive rescue or hazmat or whatever. I try to stay in my lane. We'll definitely talk about subjects that aren't in my wheelhouse, but I'll describe them in ways where I'll let other people be the experts. But in this particular case, when we're talking about private dwellings, when we're talking about peaked roof buildings, been there, done that a million times, and I have experience, and maybe it's just these things have worked out for me, or maybe the situations have been just these scenarios are just my experience, but I don't think they are, and so we're going to go through this. So here again today we're going to talk about why we are going on peaked roofs. Okay, in Houston, Texas, we had guys fall through the roof and get burned. I don't particularly understand why this is even a truck operation, but before we're going to dig into the video that occurred. But first, as always, because I don't think you should listen to me, I think you should listen to departments that know vastly more than I do. So I always use FDNY as my leading source for information. Just so you know, it is Manhattan and skyscrapers, but they also have 4 other boroughs that do a lot of other work. And I would suggest that the 4 other boroughs represent most of America. And most people don't know this tidbit of information, but New York City has the most single-family wood frame structures than any other department. So let's look and see how they operate for single-family private dwellings. It doesn't even have to be single-family, but private dwelling peaked roof buildings. Let's see what their policy is, and then let's review this incident. Okay, so I want to just go over 2 slides from FDNY Policies. These are a little old, but they're these slides, but they're still following these policies. And so look here, right? At peak roofed private dwellings, roof operations not a priority. So in other words, they do not go to the roof. And maybe you should never say do not ever or whatever, but 99 times out of 100, they're not going to the roof of a peaked roof private dwelling. I'm sure we can always come up with a scenario where you would, but for regular operations. So their idea is vent, enter, search of the second floor bedrooms is the priority. Now, they're saying second floor, not that you wouldn't vent, enter, search of the first floor, but my guess is that they're suggesting that you're going to go through the front door or through some other means. But anyway, so that's slide number 1. Slide number 2, areas of responsibility. This is for the truck, right? We're talking about ventilation in this case. So obviously, if you're in a smaller department, I always rode the engine my entire career. I was never on a truck. And a lot of times in volley departments or small departments or departments where the first due truck may be a long way away, you're playing jack of all trades. But understand there's certain things that need to get done at a fire scene. And if we're going to assign them to a truck, the first due truck is responsible for what? In all areas of the building. Okay, so they're suggesting that the first due truck isn't on the roof, right? Because we said they're not going to be on the roof because they don't go on the roof of peaked private dwellings, but they're going to be inside the building. And what are they doing there? We know what we need a truck for when the first line is getting stretched. It's 1, helping forcible entry, right? Does the engine company need the door forced to get in? 2, the primary search. Our job, guys, right, is saving lives. We're going to go in, the truck company is going to go in and do a primary search and search for victims. 3, horizontal ventilation. So this is another aspect of why you don't need to go to the roof, is that horizontal ventilation is adequate for single-family buildings and private dwellings and wood frame structures that have peaked roofs that don't have large attic spaces. So to review, right? First due truck, forcible entry, primary search, ventilation, rescue, right? Okay. That's FDNY's policy. Okay, so before we start this news cast of explaining the Houston fire, if you noticed the bunch of the little segments that I threw out there of fires across the country where guys are falling through the floor or falling off the building, there's a lot of commonality to these buildings. They're all wood frame. They're all 1 or 2 story. In many cases, there's not that much fire on the interior of the building. And again, I will concede it's not like I'm at these fires. I don't know all the ins and outs, and the same thing with the Houston fire. I don't know if there's some oddball circumstances to other victims trapped, or water supply, or 100 other scenarios that we could come up with. I don't want to be a Monday morning quarterback here, okay? But I'm going to go through these things and explain these experiences that I've had, and I don't understand why other firefighters, or there's at least a segment of the country that doesn't see the world like I'm seeing it. So here we go. Let's start it off.
Details of a dramatic rescue after a Houston firefighter fell through a burning roof while on the job this past weekend.
Here you can see the moment he's actually pulled to safety by other firefighters, but he's got a long road of recovery ahead. Lauren Tallarico has the exclusive story on the rescue and the support coming in from across the country.
It's about 10:30 this past Saturday morning. Houston Firehouse 26 is dispatched to an apartment fire in southeast Houston.
We had heavy fire coming from an apartment.
Among those fighting the blaze is 26-year-old Donovan Apiag. In a few seconds, his life will change.
By this time now, it's basically a raging inferno.
Senior Captain Joseph Flores is on the roof with Apiag.
So I'm just going to pause it here for a second, right? Hard to see. The guys are up here. He's either, I can't tell, he's either falling through or about to fall through, or you've seen it. But look here, guys. This is very similar to every video that I've shown you, and very similar to a lot of these incidents where guys are falling through the roof or falling off or slipping off or getting burned or whatever. Look, the door's open. Okay, this door is open. There is zero smoke coming out of this doorway. So again, every situation can be different, but I'm going to assume in this case that if I went through this doorway and walked in 5 feet, that I am genuinely above this fire. And so I don't, look, I posted a video of this recently. It was called Why. It was very short, but it was this exact same discussion. So I don't know why people are doing this. And everyone says, well, you have to vent the roof because you need to get out the heat and smoke. Well, if there was heat and smoke here, it would be coming out this door, and it's not. And again, this is nothing against the Houston Fire Department. I could show you 1,000 videos like this. If you wanted to ventilate the heat and smoke in this building, we could take out the windows. Okay, we don't need to go to a roof of a one-story building in order to get the heat out. So we could go inside, pull ceilings, okay? And I've done this many times with great success. And again, maybe I've been lucky. Again, guys comment here. I don't know everything, okay? But I actually prefer the roof to not be cut. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So on multiple occasions, more than I can remember, if you go inside and you have fire in the attic, obviously there was fire on the first floor, you go in there and knock the fire down. But okay, we now have a fire in the attic space. If you take the nozzle or a hook, have a truckie come in there and literally pop a hole in the ceiling, I actually some guys like to rip these humongous holes and rip all the ceiling down and make this big, huge hole. I found it if you just put a hole the size that you can fit a nozzle in, if you shoot water with the roof still closed and a little hole, you open the bail and flow as many gallons per minute up in this space. The water goes up there, it turns to steam. As we know, steam is whatever it is, 1,000 times the expansion of water. It will fill this entire space with steam and knock this thing out very quickly. Now, I concede, I'm not saying that every incident is going to go this way. It may not be so easy. And sometimes, not a lot, but sometimes you'll have a homeowner that goes up in the attic and slaps down plywood, and so maybe you try to pop the ceiling. It's not so easy, but 99 times out of 100, I'm telling you, you can put these fires out. All the fires that we showed in this little segment beforehand, I would argue that if you pull some ceilings, get in there with the line, if you have fire on the first floor, of course, knock it down. Open the ceiling, open the sheetrock, and squirt water up there. If you gave me the choice between being inside the fire, down on the floor with a line, or standing on the roof with no hose, on top of the fire where it's burning the rafters, I would take the first floor or the second floor underneath the fire every single time. So anyway, let's play this out further. Again, I'm going to mention this again. This is not against Houston. It's not against these guys. These are, as we'll see in this video, these are commendable, hardworking, brave firemen. I don't question their commitment to the job 1 second, okay? What I'm saying is we have been doing this 150-year knee-jerk reaction to jumping on rooftops when FDNY, for whatever reason, figured it out a while ago.
When it collapses and Opiog falls through.
I mean, look, again, as I said, these Houston guys, this guy's got balls right here. I would work with this guy any day of the week. Forget falling through. This guy is putting his head down in this thing to save a brother firefighter. It's top notch.
And see Flores jump into action.
Look down in that hole, it was just a sea of red. That's all it was. It was just a sea of red and just super hot.
Opiog's on the attic floor. His team reach in.
I wasn't letting him go. We were getting him out. 100%. He was coming home.
He did get out. His gear melted. His skin burned.
I hurt for Don, you know. Sorry.
It's hard for Flores.
It's a real fireman right there. And I give these guys credit. This ain't easy to work on a roof like that.
Opiog, a husband, a father, an Air Force veteran, is still in Memorial Hermann with 2nd and 3rd degree burns. He's already had surgery and he'll likely need more.
Occupational therapy, physical therapy, and then the mental side of it too.
Which is why his station started a GoFundMe account to help.
So I'm going to put this in the link or somewhere on the website, so however I can figure it out. Please donate to this guy. He's a young guy. Look, I fell through the floor, not on the roof. I fell through a floor in the, my God, I guess it was early 90s when I was in my 20s, not knowing what the hell I was doing. And I learned a lot on that day, and it never happened again. But so This kid doesn't deserve this. I hope he's okay. I hope he gets back on the job. And please check out the GoFundMe site.
In just 2 days, more than $40,000 have been raised to help his family pay bills.
Community support has been amazing.
Apiag's a fighter.
He's tough. I'm just at utter amazement by him.
And as he starts this battle for his health, he's certainly not fighting alone.
We call it brotherhood and sisterhood. It's true. And the citizens of Houston just absolutely are our support, you know, when it comes to times like this.
We know.
All right, guys, that's basically it. We need to change our fire tactics. I know guys are committed to fighting fires like this. I don't see the benefit. I've gone into many single-family wood frame structures with peak roofs. I never needed the roof opened up. Horizontal ventilation is more than adequate. Open up the line. Make sure you have enough GPM. I would advocate for a straight bore nozzle. That's another argument for another day. But anyway, whatever you think, I'm right, wrong, or indifferent, comment, add your experiences, tell me what you think, check out my other videos. Thank you for visiting Transmit the 1075, and I'll see you at the next one.